Next up, we need to consider the actual spheres here. Okay, so the idea is that these are creating an interior environment, and there's probably got to be some connection between the two. So what's the most logical step forward to do that?
Ruled surface.
No. Close. Well, not close, but
Boundary box.
no. We're going to go to intersect, shape, and we're going to do a solid union. Yeah, I know. It's crazy. All right, so with solid union there now, we can go all the way back and turn all of this stuff off. Okay. So this is what you get is now you've got these kind of openings in between your geometry. Okay. Oh yeah, for stair, circulation, whatever, for structure. But the idea is that we're creating one giant mass for this.
Do we need to merge it?
What's that? You don't need to do a merge on it. Yeah. Now, let me see if this is going to work for us here. No, that's not going to work for us on that. Data conversion failed from view up to surface. Okay. All right. So, one thing that we need to consider here, and I'm going to take it a step further and start to generate the circles on the facade. It's not going to be exactly the same cellular structure that they used, but we are going to be able to develop some frames on the exterior orb. But what we're going to do is try and figure out ways that we can create, how do I describe this? We need to figure out ways that we're going to be able to create points on the actual volume, right? So now that we have the solid union, we can't just go through and divide the element itself. So we plug this in and it doesn't work, right? Because it's going to give us an error. This needs to operate off of just surfaces. One of the things we can do if we have, for instance, the individual spheres is we can go to domain, divide domain, and we can plug that in with an isotrim, and that should work on the original surface.
Why not divide the base?
Oh wow, that's funny. It only worked on one surface. Yes.
Why not divide the base?
Is that not what I used? That is what I used.
You said divide the base.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
My bad.
That was what I used, but it's actually throwing me off here because it only worked on that surface. That's odd. All right, well, hang on a sec, actually. I need to figure out what we're going to do on this one. All right, so here's how we got to do this. The problem that I was having is that the sphere itself, when I plug it in as a flattened list, for some reason, kept coming up with just the first element. So if I let's drop our isotrim in, and let's plug that in. For some reason, that's only doing the top element. Okay, so here's my fix for that. I figured the problem with that is that for some reason it's only doing the operation on the first one. If I graphed it and split it so that it's individual elements, probably is going to work. So I go to params, I go to surf, and plug these in. And I used surf because these are listed as untrimmed surfaces. Okay, so I will graft that and replace these connections. So I'll plug that in there, and that got me all of my spheres. All right, so I want to take a minute to pause and describe why I'm doing this. Okay, so I'm not just trying to find points on all of the spheres. What I'm trying to find are points on the spheres that I can clash or intersect with this. Because divide does not work on a joined, broken down sphere structure, right? So I need to find the center point of each of the spheres. Let me draw a diagram of it. Let's assume this is my partial sphere, okay? I need to find the center point of that partial sphere. Okay. Then I need to go back to the original sphere and take my subdivisions. Okay. And I need to draw curves through the surface. Okay. From that, from the curves that I draw through the surface, I need to use any one of these intersect functions, and that's just the method that I chose. I'm going to use brep curve, or surface curve, actually. I'm going to use surface curve, and each of those radial points that is protruding through my surface is going to create a point on my skin surface. Does that make sense?
Like intersecting it?
Yeah. Yeah. It's better. It's going to work out better than trying to use all of the intersections here, because then we're going to have intersections that are inside of our space that we don't want. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's do it. And believe it or not, it sounds complex, but it's really not that complex. Let me turn that off temporarily. So with this subdivided surface, one of the things I need to do here is get the intersections of each of these points. So that's an obvious deconstruct brep. So I'll go to surface, deconstruct brep, grab that. Okay, it's going to look really crazy for a bit. The other thing I'm going to need is a centroid of each of these surfaces, and it doesn't matter where you pull it from. In fact, you probably should just pull it from that one right there. Okay, so that gets you a centroid in the center of each of those volumes. Now, the curve that I'm going to generate, and I think that if I draw a curve from the center point to each of the points on the outside of my sphere, that only the ones that remain should technically still intersect it, right? So that will generate a new list of points only for the new skin. I do not believe it has to actually extend beyond the skin. I think if it stops at the skin, that is still considered an intersection. So let's try that out. I'm going to do a curve, and I'm going to go from the centroid. But I want to pause for a moment and take a look at these vertices. Notice how it says n equals 4 for all of them? I'm going to be accidentally generating way too many points, because every single one of these 4 panels at their intersection corner has 4 points. So there is a function in Grasshopper for, and I think it's, actually I forget where it is. It's called cull, or not cull point, cull duplicates. Yeah. So cull duplicates is going to remove points that are within a certain range to one another, and this is located under vector and point. There. So we're going to plug our vertices in there. And we went from 6,080 points to 6,080 points. Oh, it's not flattened. Okay, you got to flatten it. 6,080 points to 1,471. That's significant. We reduced it by 75%. Yes. Sorry, it's a little hard to see. Let me... Better? All right. All right, so we have our line, and let's go from all of our oh, these aren't grafted anymore. Oh, that's problematic. That is really problematic. All right, well, it's going to look really crazy, like that. I'll try and fix it later. We're now creating 23,536 lines. But the good thing is I can cull point later. Actually, you know what? Let's not do it that way. Let's not cull point until later. So let's just do it this way. We're gonna create 6,080 lines. Okay, it's gonna create duplicates, but it'll be 75% less duplicates this way. Okay, And then we'll cull point it later, and we'll reduce that by another 75%. So these are our lines, and this is our surface. That's our test, right? So we're gonna test where these lines intersect this surface. That. You might want to save at this point.
No, you don't. Week 10?
Week 10.
Wait, 11.
It's 11?
Week 11 is in my phone.
Oh, yeah, you're right. I've been naming our files wrong. Okay. All right, let's call this tower exercises. All right, here we go. Actually, I should save this one too. Do you guys need me to pause for a bit before I do this? Okay. So here we have, let's see, we have lines, we have surface. Let's go to intersect. Let's go to physical. And let's test surface curve. So we have a closed B-rep. Ooh, that's a closed B-rep, huh? That's not going to work, huh? B-rep to surface. Spheres, untrimmed surface. We're going to do that. Let's see here. Huh. Well, we're probably going to have to restructure this in some way. Can I convert this to a surface? No. I thought this was simpler, guys. All right, let me figure this one out for a moment.